Anthony, your righteous indignation at the treatment of these poor victimized students in California, penalized for their patriotism, is amusing on the one hand, because it's always amusing when the conservative, flag-waving, gun-toting Christian right get all worked up about someone threatening their right to be patriots or to take away their toys, whether it's their guns or their environment-destroying 4x4s. On the other hand, well, it's amusing on the other hand as well, because you can't see the hypocrisy in what you're getting all worked up about. Being a foreigner, Cinco de Mayo didn't mean anything to me, so I had to look it up. And then I did what I usually do when I hear stories like this, and I googled some articles about the students who were banned for wearing the American flag to get a bit more background. And first off, let me state my preconceptions. I do not share your view that these teenagers were standing up for their principles and are being martyred for their patriotism. What I suspect is closer to the truth is that they're high school teenagers, and this is an act of rebellion and mischief, probably designed to rub other people up the wrong way. I could be misjudging these students, in which case I apologise, but of my recollection of my peers when I was a teenager, we're talking about the punk rock new romantic era here, if that's anything to go by, they were probably just up for a bit of devilment rather than making any real political or ideological statement. But that's really by the by. You make the valid point that perhaps these students could have been a little bit more sensitive, and whilst that's true, it isn't really relevant when it comes to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and people's right to equal treatment in a just society. It was interesting to read in the various articles that the principal of the school is quoted as having said that the wearing of the US flags could be considered inflammatory. I'd put money on that being the intention, not an unanticipated byproduct. It's reported that the school was concerned that fights might break out between the students who were celebrating their Mexican heritage, and that, right there, is where I stand alongside you, because it's also reported that none of the students sporting Mexican flags on their shirts, armbands, bandanas or face painting were told to take off their national symbols for fear that fights might break out. So to me, that's a clear act of discrimination against one group of people. It's unfair and it should not be tolerated in a free, civilised society. Unfortunately, Anthony, it's what often happens when the feelings of one group of vocal people is put ahead of the fundamental rights of others.